Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Ashley's Treasure, and today I am going to do a special video for someone. They were asking if I had any tips how to do fussy cutting, and on some of my old videos on card making, there's a couple times in between, there were parts that I did do fussy cutting and I kind of gave tips, but I never really went into details on fussy cutting. And so I thought that was a great idea, and I told her that I'll work on that today. And so here we are. Fussy cutting can sometimes be overwhelming to people. Some see it very stressful. Other people see it therapeutic. Because I think the ones that get it so stressed out over it is because they look at it and it's like, oh my gosh, there's too much details. There's no way. But don't do that. Don't overthink it. That's the problem. A lot of people, they just overthink it. First, I was going to mention tools that I like to use. I love using these scissors, these little scissors, and how they have the very fine point at the top to get all those little spots. This is just a cheap pair I got. As you can see, it's the Paper Studio, so that I got from Hobby Lobby. I've got it, gosh, years ago. It's probably been like 10 years I've had these scissors, and they still work great. I did get another pair of fussy scissors, but a different brand, because I thought these ones might wear off, but I'm still been going to town with these. Some people actually like using bigger scissors. I have a hard time with that because I feel like with them being so big, so long, that I have less control. But this being smaller, I feel like I can get straight to it. Kind of the same as with when you're writing. Like, say I'm writing, I have more control being closer to the end of the pencil. But when I'm not here, I have a hard time. It's kind of wobbly and out of control. It's not as good and as detailed. So it's kind of the same with scissors as it is with pencils when you're writing. Another tool that is very handy are these. I got a couple of them. The little, like X-Acto knives, to do fine little parts. I like using this for, parts inside where I can't get from the outside. Sometimes this is helpful to get those tiny little parts. This one I have, this one's Westcott. I got from, I think I got this from Burlington. But if I remember right, oh, it's on the, it's in a different thingy. It came with like a little plastic thing, and it's got a bunch of different blades for different cutting. But this one is pretty good for doing fine little details, which I will show you when I get into cutting. This one is swivel. It moves. Can you see that? I thought that this would help me, get smoother moves and everything, but actually it made it harder for me. I think it's because I'm so used to cutting with these, it doesn't move, so I have complete control. But with this, how it does the swivel, I didn't feel like I had full control. You really got to get the motion and the angle down to work with it, to really go into details. But this, with it not moving, I feel like I have more control. So I hardly ever use this one. Pretty much I only use this one as if I misplaced what I did with this one, to be honest. So my most favorite tool are my small scissors, and then my second would be this one for fine details. Alright, so I was trying to find a picture with some challenging details to show how easy it can be. And I got this amazing bird book that I love so much. And so I thought there could be some challenging pieces in here that I could cut out. And actually, I looked on the back of the dust cover, and I thought this would be a perfect one, so I could show how to get all that fine detail, you know, get all those little pieces out. And there's some inner part here. See, this is what I'm talking about for this, getting those tiny details. So I am actually going to cut some of this out. Instead of cutting the whole page apart, I'm just going to cut a hole. Another reason why I prefer my scissors over this is sometimes because when you're cutting in, sometimes you don't cut far enough, so you keep having to go over, and it's hard to get the exact same spot again. You know, like on here, I did not cut all the way, and so then it gives that tear look. Unlike scissors, it's smooth. So again, you really gotta play with your tools and figure out which one you like the most and what you feel most comfortable with. One of the tips that people don't really think of when you're cutting scissors, let me back up a little bit. When you're cutting scissors, say I'm a righty, I cut with my right hand. With the scissors, you think that you do all the movement and everything. Don't do that. Your hand, especially your wrist, will hurt so bad constantly going like this and all of these different angles. Your hand will hurt so bad and cramp up. What you want to do is actually hold this hand still as you can. You can do some little movements, but mostly this is all the movement you want to do. You'll want to do the moving with this hand that you're hanging on to. So let me zoom back in a little bit. All right. I'll just start here. Gosh, this light is going at the wrong angle, isn't it? And see, I'm not really moving my right hand. I'm moving the picture that I am cutting out. Get this out of the way. Another tip. Positive and negative. Okay, the positive is the picture itself that you're cutting out. The negative is the outside. The remaining, the part that you're cutting off. Sometimes I still have a hard time with this. I have an easier time having the positive being, sorry, the furnace started, it's super loud. I had to turn it off. But as I was saying, positive and negative, I have a hard time with this because for me cutting, it's easier for me having the positive on the left side of my scissors and the negative on the right. It makes it easier for me to see exactly where I am cutting. But sometimes, like things like this picture right here, in between here, I want to think of the negative, you know, to get this tiny little piece out here. So I gotta like switch my brain, you know, instead of thinking positive, think the negative area and get that little piece out. And take your time, don't rush. I'm gonna snip a little bit of this off. All right, and then this part, people would think that, oh my gosh, that's too much. And actually, it's not that bad. Not as bad as people think of. Because you're thinking of going in and out and in and out. Don't think of that. Really, all you need to do is think of triangles. Like, I wish I had better lighting. It's super dark today. I need light from the other side. My baby's on the floor playing right now. She's doing really good. And it does help too, getting all the extra pieces just out of the way so it's not affecting you cutting. But instead, let me zoom in. Instead of me, going instantly through here, up here, and around, I am going to go straight from one tip to the other tip of that pine needle. And so, as you can see, there's like a little triangle inside there. This is a little hard because I don't have the best lighting, and I'm trying to make it so you can see what in the world I'm doing. It's not coming off that well because of the lighting in here. But all you're gonna do is keep cutting straight lines, getting all those little triangles out. I'm going to cut straight from this tip of the needle to here to here. And then here I am going to cut the negative instead of the positive. So I gotta be really careful because of how fine these needles are. I don't want to cut it all off. Just keep going back and forth to make sure it's all the way cut off, or else you'll have that white part left there. So here I'm just, again, making triangles. And here I'm doing the negative. Cut straight to that line. And actually I'm just going to cut this out of the way. See, I just have a little triangle in that little spot. So I'm just going to cut here. And see? Just like that. Now this is much harder doing it over camera, trying to make it so you guys can see, and I'm not getting the best lighting in here right now. Some people think that doing these would be harder, but actually it's just straight lines, so it's actually not that hard. But doing things with really small curves, now that part is hard. Like I was trying to find something, and like imagine like this was a page to cut out. Those little spots inside of that C, that's tiny little curves, those would actually be harder for me because, moving in there and not bending or tearing the page, if this was a page. But I don't know if you kind of understand what I'm meaning. But compared to like this, it's just all straight lines. You don't have to do all those little curves, tight curves. Now big curves, that's easy, but when you have tight little narrow curves like that, those parts are a little hard. But I am just going to kind of cut across here and get all this excess out of the way. Also, another thing is that sometimes it is easier doing more delicate details first before doing the solid parts. That way you have more control to hang on to. Like compared to if I cut all this off first, I'd only have this tiny piece to cut on and I wouldn't have much strength here. So it'd be hard getting all these details, you know. So that's why I'd like to do this part first and then work on there. So I would start from here. I would do all these pine needles first, and then I would go for the feet and then work my way up and then finish off the stem here. Is my idea. I think that'd be the easiest way for me. As I kind of try to plan this out the best way to cut it. Okay, now I'm going to skip to some of the negative parts that are inside. Of course, it's super hard to fit scissors into there and start cutting. So that's when these tools come in handy. You'll want to have some sort of hard surface. Like this is a cutting mat. I'm not afraid of it getting marked on. Or if you have glass, you know, glass tables, that is fantastic. That works great. Actually, I made a little one. I'll go get it really quick. I made my own little glass table by having, I got a photo at a dollar or thrift store, and I really liked the photo in it. I wanted to use it for a project, and I thought I could reuse the glass to use as to cut on, so that way it wouldn't cut onto my desk itself, and it makes a hard flat surface. And all I did was I put some washi tape on the edges. You could use duct tape, whatever you want. I just did that so that the sides, the edges of the glass wouldn't like cut me. I'm just going to carefully try to get these inner parts out, which is always a challenge. I prefer using my scissors than this, but you just gotta, you know, take your time, be patient. I know it's hard. Also with these, I prefer, because I have one that's just all metal, and that really like hurts my hands after a while. If you could find ones with these like rubber handles to it, it helps so much more with your hand without hurting so much. Which actually I should have done these inner parts first before I did all this outer side, because that way I have more structure, because now it is quite flimsy and it keeps bending on me, especially this part, the stem here. So I got a little bit ahead of myself right there. So again, take your time. sometimes I have a hard time getting it, so I will, I already cut like a hole in it, and so I will slide my scissors in there and get those straight little pieces. I tried to use my swivel knife and it turned out terrible, so I got my fussy cutting scissors and fixed it. And finally, I finished cutting the pine needles, and next will be the feet. Alright, the worst of it is over. Now we're just down to the easy part. So I'm just going to try to recap a little. So try to enjoy it. Don't stress out about it. Take your time. Make sure you got time to do it. Again, figure out which type of tools you like the best. I like my fussy cutting, my fussy scissors the best. I do use my other tools, but I don't do as well of a job with those as I do with my scissors. Again, don't move this hand, the hand you're cutting with, move the other hand. It will really help from your hand hurting. My hand doesn't hurt, my wrist doesn't hurt at all right now, which is great. And like here I'm cutting off the positive, the difference between positive and negative. That I still, I'm not perfect, I admit. I still work on that. It's hard for me. See, here I'm cutting the positive off, here I'll be cutting the negative off, and I have the hardest time doing this, making my brain think that way. I just don't always do as well. So that's something I'm still working on. Also, like with things like this, don't be going like in and out, and like do the triangles. It helps a lot. It makes it so much easier. Like, look how much I got out from that. What else? Oh, the inner parts. That's another good thing to do first. And that I forgot. I actually forgot about. It's easier doing those inner hole parts first because of how delicate they are, and then doing things like this. Kind of do the hardest parts first. So do like these little inner parts, and then this detailed part. You know, because there's not much strength on there, and then here I'm doing my bigger part last. It makes it so much easier compared to if I did this part first and then that. I'm sure that this branch would have broke because of having not enough strength. Another thing is if you have any little, I see a tiny piece of green there, right there I just missed. Use one of your, if you have distressed ink, or any type of ink really, I really like using that. It helps tie it in so you don't see it. If you have any marks that you forgot to cut off, you can try going back over and snipping it off, or you can simply put some ink on it. It'll be easy. And some people are really good at doing like a little gap around it, you know, just leaving like a tad bit of white and making it the same width all the way around. I am not good at that because I go in and out and in and out. It's easier for me to just follow the line. That's something I'm still practicing on, but that's another way of fussy cutting. But yeah, I finally did it. Let me see if I can find some white paper so you can see better. Here, I just used my little notebook. But there's my little birdie. Here, I'll back up a little. It's really hard to see. And look at that. That was so fun. See, to me, it actually wasn't too bad. It was pretty relaxing. But I hope this helped for anyone that's you know, trying to learn how to fussy cut. If there's any questions, let me know and I'll try my best to help. But I hope that this overall did help and gave some little tips to help. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Bye!